and industry is also happy that as long as the losses were to stabilize the city and keep inflation at bay, they're excited. Exactly what does it mean? Maxwell Mensah is with the lead for our research and investigative desk. He joins us with the breakdown of the Bank of Ghana picture. Maxwell, good morning. And so the Bank of Ghana says the losses were made to contain inflation and also to keep the city stable. Let's check what the figures are exactly.
Exactly. So we start with the achievements. In fact, aside the losses, the Bank of Ghana says that they did that to achieve some things. And now let's look at the indicators. The first one is on the inflation. So the Bank of Ghana says that in 2024, inflation was 23.8 as of December 2024. And December 2025, it's dropped to 5.4. Currently, inflation is 3.3 or 3.2. So they said that this is what they have achieved so far within a year. And also for CD, Bank of Ghana says that they came to meet a cedi to a dollar or to other currency, 14 Ghana cedis at 70 pesos. But as at the time where we are coming to 2026, I mean December 2025, it's dropped to 10 cedis, 45 pesos. Now let's see the reserves. So we also talked about reserve, what we have in our buffer stocks in case of uncertainty like global shocks or maybe inflation and others too. Do we have standby money to solve that? So the government says that as of December 2024, they inherited 9.1 billion US dollars. But in December 2025, it increased to 13.8 billion Ghana cedis. In 2026, as at March, April, it has jumped to 14.5 billion US dollars, rather. Now, let's look at policy rate. The policy rate talks about government to business, so G to business, or others also call it business to business, or B2B, where the Bank of Ghana sets interest rate to the commercial banks whenever they come to do business with the central bank. So the policy rate was 28% as of December 2024. Now, it decreased to 18%. And as of 2026 March, it has dropped to 14%, according to Bank of Ghana. Now, aside the business to government to business, we also have the lending rate. The lending rate talks about the business to business or the business to consumers, where individual or maybe business goes to banks for loans. Now, the interest rate on such amounts that you go for, at first, it was 30%. But Bank of Ghana, as of December 2025, says it's dropped to 20%, and subsequently this year it has also dropped to 17%. So this is what the Bank of Ghana said they achieved. And also for public debt. Now, if you look at the cumulative, the amount of money that we're owing as a country, and per our GDP, it was 61% or approximately 62%. So based on what we have as a country in our coffers, we owe an amount, in terms of percentage, we have 61% of it as of December 2024. But as of December 2025, it dropped to 45.3%. So this is what the government said they have achieved so far in 2025. Now, it comes with a commitment or things that also need to put in. So what did the government actually do, or they lost in order to achieve what they did? That's where the Bank of Ghana says that they lost 15.6 billion Ghana cedis. And this 15.6 billion is not money that we just lost it, but it's as an effort that the bank or the central government did to make the economy stable in terms of fighting inflation, and also other things that the government did just to help the country. So the losses, not just the government just wasted the money, but it's used this money to stabilize the economy for inflation and also to support other indicators that the government did. Now, we also have the net OCI charge, which we had 19.32 billion Ghana cedis that the country lost. When we talk about the OCI, it's about other comprehensive income. So if 2024, in 2024, it was 12.9 billion Ghana cedis. In 2025, increased to 19.32 billion Ghana cedis. We are saying that this is a loss, because for other comprehensive income is where when you import something to the country, because in the foreign currency, it's when your cedi or your local currency is very weak, you gain more. So at first, when the dollar was 14 cedis and you bring in something to the country, 14 cedis is better than now 10 cedis. So it says that at first, the cedi was very weakened, of which the other currency was very strong as compared to the local currency. So importing something to the country will not let you gain more, according to the Bank of Ghana, as in 2025. But as compared to 2024, bringing an asset into the country will help you to gain more because of the strength of those currencies. So we lost in 2025 because of the strength of the cedi. Now, let's look at cumulative negative equity. The equity, the Bank of Ghana is also saying that based on everything, our debt as a country, or our debt in terms of fighting or making the economy stable, and also the losses that we made cumulatively, was more than the assets of the country. So we had a negative. We couldn't do much as a country. So this is what it says. But if you make the comparison to the previous year, in 2024, it was 61.3 billion Ghana cedis. In 2025, the cumulative loss or the equity, meaning our debts and also the loss, were more than the assets or the buffer of the country, making 96.3 billion Ghana cedis. So this is what Bank of Ghana is saying. Now, let's also look at what the bank also recorded in terms of financial report for 2025. Now, where are we getting the losses from? But before that, it's also made some revenue to the country. It says that they had 22.3 billion Ghana cedis, making an increment of 137% from the previous year. So in all things, they also generated some revenue for the country. Now, let's look at where we got the losses from. The first one is OMO, which is OMO, or the outside market operation. So we wanted to know where did the government also make some losses. Now, the Bank of Ghana says that in 2025, they make loss here because at that time, there was a lot of circulation money in the system. Now, when there are so many money in the system, it's creating an inflation. So what they are supposed to do is that they have to withdraw some of the money circulating in the country. For instance, when there's this pen, only one pen, which is an asset in the country, and a lot of money and the system fighting for it, it makes this pen become very variable, of which it affects the vulnerable people or those with the low purchasing power, which cause the inflation. So in order for the government to make everything equalized or stable, you need to withdraw some amount of the money circulating the system. And what the government, the central bank did was that it purchased some treasury bills and others. So it told some business people that, okay, come and buy our treasury bill. Give us this amount of money. And the more the investors or the business people were giving the government money, they hoard the money at the central bank. That brought in some of the money circulating in the system to reduce. So for the government to lose such amount of money. So that's what exact thing that they did. And also the DGPP, which is the government also, and the collaboration with the gold board, also bought some gold and others to solve this issue. And cumulative, it makes the government lose an amount of 9.1 billion Ghana cedis as compared to the previous year. And at the same time also, the FX re-evaluation, that's the exchange rate also. In order to help the cedi to stabilize, the government pumped in 29.1 billion Ghana cedis to help the cedi to fight against the other currencies. So these are some of the things the central government did. So this is what exact I just said about the open market operation, the OMO. So you can clearly see the inflation where they took from 2024, which was 23.8%, came to 18% early last year, which is 2025. And in June 2025 came to 19.1% and 8.4% in September 2025. In December, as at last year, was 5.4. So this is what the government did. It lost an amount of 16.7 billion just to save the country from hyperinflation. This is what the country, it injected or it made a losses just to save the country of this. And let's also look at the domestic good purchase. So it's also purchased, if you look at the previous history or historically, in 2022, then government made a loss of 74 million Ghana cedis with a volume of 3.5 transactions, making 194 million. So for government getting 194, made a losses of 94 million as compared to 2025, where the government made a loss of 9.1 billion in terms of dealing with gold, selling an amount, quantity of 111 transactions, and gaining only 11.4 billion. So you gaining 11.4 billion, then losing 9.1 billion. So it's just not something in normal sense. People say it's not logical, but in terms of economics, this is what the government did just to make the country being stable. And also the cedi gain. So the cedi gain 40.7 as against other currencies. And we are saying that it's a loss to the government. The reason being, as I told you, is that when your local currency is very strong, it affects the other currencies. So for instance, if you want to give me $2 as of 2024, that if it was 14 Ghana cedis, then $2 in 2024 was 28 Ghana cedis. Now, if you say you are dashing $2 to me today, $2 is equivalent to maybe 20 cedis. So if you make the comparison, it's the same $2, but I've lost an amount of 4 Ghana cedis on it because your local currency has gained weight. And this really affected the government when there's an import. When you do an import or if you export, the amount of money that you get and you bring it into your local currency, because your cedi is very strong, it doesn't make any sense in terms of economics. So this is exactly what the government said. And they specifically make that foreign asset worth more than in cedis. So this is what the government, it really helps when the foreign currency is more than or it's very stronger than your local currency. And so other people are calling. So that's when the cedi started appreciating. People started that, no, the government needs to cut it, needs to stop it at a certain point. And even the president came to say that the cedi will not drop from 10 cedis. So it will be a range of 10 cedis to 12 cedis. So when the cedi gain more appreciation, it really affects the local currency. Of which those who are doing the exports, which will affect their revenue. So we also have when the cedi strengthens, it affects. So when the cedi weakens, it helps the foreign currency, but when it appreciates or it gains strength, it affects the foreign currency. And this is what the local, the Bank of Ghana tried to manage the situation and the others. Now, it also makes some comparison. Not only we as a country, we are facing the same situation by losing to gain. Now, it's made a reference of United States Federal Reserve, of which it says that they even had a negative net income since 2023. If you also go to European Central Bank, Bank of Ghana says that they also make a loss of 7.9 billion in 2023 and 2025 in terms of euro, 1.3 billion euro was being lost there. And also if you go to England too, the multi-billion pounds were being lost. So this is what the Bank of Ghana is also saying. And so if you go to CMB, the operational with a negative equity for years, they operated with that. So it's not only the Central Bank of Ghana that we lost an amount of money to gain, but if you make some comparison to some advanced countries, they all make the same. So Nana, this is what the Bank of Ghana is reporting.
So I think so. The issue is that the bank says it prioritized economic stability over profits.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.